When you walk through an old hall, barn, or shipyard and notice timbers that have survived war, weather, and neglect, it becomes clear that durability was never accidental. These builders were not lucky. They were methodical. They understood that wood preservation was not a single product or final step, but a sequence of decisions made long before a beam was ever raised. Modern construction often begins with cutting and ends with coating. Traditional building did the opposite. Preservation started at the forest edge and continued through the life of the structure. In this guide, we are going to examine how master builders preserved timber using logic, patience, and systems that are still applicable today. Master builders selected timber with purpose rather than just convenience. Historic builders did not use whatever tree was closest. Species choice was deliberate. Oak for ground contact and load bearing, pine and fir for roofs and interiors, larch and chestnut for moisture resistance. Each species was matched to its role. This reduced the need for heavy treatment later on. A practical application today is, honestly, selecting wood based on function rather than just availability. Use naturally durable species where moisture is unavoidable and, reserve less resistant wood for protected areas. Now, why was timing the harvest considered such an important part of preservation? Well, let's take a closer look at how this practice made a difference. You see, trees were often felled in winter when the movement of sap inside the wood had slowed down quite a bit. This simple timing reduced both the internal moisture and sugar content, making the wood less attractive to insects and limiting the growth of fungi. If wood was harvested at the wrong time, it would usually require a lot more intervention later on. So, if you're sourcing lumber or reclaimed timber today, knowing when it was originally cut can actually give you valuable insight into how it'll behave over time. Wood that's cut in winter tends to season more evenly and, resists decay for much longer. Seasoning was treated as structural preparation, not just storage. It was, an essential step in the construction process, laying the groundwork for everything that followed. Master builders, they viewed seasoning as a phase of construction, not just a waiting period. Wood was stacked carefully, raised off the ground, shielded from the sun and rain, and left for years if necessary. Airflow was managed to encourage slow, even drying, ensuring that every board was, frankly, ready for its role. This approach prevented internal stress that leads to warping and joint failure. Applying this today means resisting those accelerated drying methods and allowing wood to reach equilibrium with its environment before use. It's a lesson, really, in patience and respect for the material. Shaping was delayed until the wood revealed its intentions. This approach helped ensure stability and longevity, by letting the material settle before making any final decisions. Historic timber was left oversized during early seasoning. Only after movement stabilized was it cut to final dimensions. This allowed builders to work with the wood's natural tendencies rather than against them, which was pretty smart if you think about it. A modern step would be rough cutting beams or boards, seasoning them fully, then truing them just before assembly. This reduces long-term distortion, making for a much more reliable finished product. In the past, preservation relied on altering surfaces rather than sealing them. This approach, was all about working with the material, not just locking everything out. Old treatments focused on changing how wood interacted with moisture, not blocking it entirely. Charring, oiling, and washing were used to strengthen surfaces and discourage biological decay while still allowing the wood to breathe. It's pretty interesting how these methods balanced protection with breathability. If you apply this today, lightly char ground contact areas, apply penetrating oil sparingly, and avoid thick film finishes that trap moisture. It's a thoughtful way to let wood last longer, while, letting it do what it does best. Joinery was really a form of preservation in itself. By carefully fitting wood together, craftsmen protected the material from the elements, extending the life of both the structure and the timber. Master joinery, it reduced the need for metal fasteners that could introduce moisture and corrosion. Those tight-fitting joints shed water and distributed load without concentrating stress in one spot. Mortise and tenon joints, scarf joints, and wooden pegs allowed structures to move just a bit without failing, making them both strong and flexible. For modern builders, honestly, learning even basic traditional joinery can really reduce dependency on chemicals and hardware. It's a practice that connects us to the past, while offering practical benefits today. The way timber was placed and designed actually offered it a good deal of natural protection. Careful choices in where and how wood was used made a real difference in its longevity. Eaves were extended, foundations raised, and roofs pitched steeply, all to protect wood from standing water. Timber rarely, if ever, touched soil directly, which really helped keep it sound over time. So, these thoughtful design choices actually preserved wood long before any treatments were ever applied. It's kind of impressive how much could be accomplished just through smart building practices. Applying this today might mean, raising posts on stone pads or ensuring airflow beneath floors. Good design really reduces the need for preservation later on. Why maintenance was expected and planned for. Old buildings were not maintenance-free. They were, in fact, maintainable. Timbers were accessible for inspection and retreatment. Oils could be reapplied. Damaged sections could be replaced without dismantling entire structures. A modern lesson is designing with future care in mind. Preservation is ongoing, not a one-time action. How these principles served survival and continuity. For historic communities, failed timber meant exposure, hunger, and collapse. Preservation was not aesthetic, it was survival logic. By using durable species, proper seasoning, breathable treatments, and intelligent design, builders created structures that endured uncertainty. That same logic benefits anyone building for resilience today. Why Relic Wisdom remains relevant now. Modern materials promise speed, not longevity. Relic Wisdom offers the opposite. When you preserve timber like the masters did, you accept time as an ally. You reduce dependency on replacements and external systems. You build once and repair thoughtfully. If you value knowledge that has proven itself across centuries, support its continuation. Subscribe to Relic Logic for deeper explorations into the systems that built lasting structures. Share this video with someone who believes real strength comes from understanding, not shortcuts.